if you want to be able to control women, guys, this is toxic. If you want to be able to control any women, get onto this right now. Yeah. F. Kamari's Macaron.
Here's how you can control women. You can't, and you gotta let go of that. So many people are just trying to manipulate women or treat them like puppets and do all these things to make them do certain actions or whatever. It doesn't work that way. But the next best thing to that is controlling what you think. If you control how you think, then it leads into these new mindsets, which lead into new beliefs, which dictate new actions that control perception. Really, perception is reality. So if you start by changing your thinking patterns and your mindsets on things, then you will actually start taking on these new actions that in effect will have a highly likelihood of controlling the perception of women. And that is what's going to get you the most results.
How would you have genuine control over a lady? How would you generally have the high ground? The response will astonish you since it doesn't have anything to do with her but all to do with you. Genuine power is the control you have over yourself, not her. The more power you have over yourself, the more power you have over ladies. It required me a long investment to sort this out. I used to look through outlines to say and things I could do to draw in a young lady or strategies to make her want me more. Now that I've been training people beyond 13 years, I see exactly the same thing where folks come to me searching for the things they can do to acquire that high ground over a lady. What I didn't understand and what these folks don't understand is that when you have command over yourself and your feelings, you have some control over your way of behaving and your responses. You naturally oversee others. The overall influence generally swings in a single individual's approval, and that individual is the person who is least connected to the result. The individual who is least joined to the result will continuously have the power since you become wild, and the other individual acknowledges it rapidly. Think about what ladies are attracted to men who are not effortlessly controlled. I need to give you 5 methods for bridling this control over yourself to make ladies pursue you and flow towards you. Number 1 is the capacity to not respond, to be non-receptive. At the point when we get fatigued, we go with awful choices and our shortcoming emerges, and what's more terrible is that ladies intuitively know this, so they deliberately attempt to shake us. Therefore, ladies will test men. A model is when you're out on the town with a lady and she takes a gander at you and she says you realize you would be more appealing without a facial hair growth. I need to give you 5 methods for bridling this control over yourself to make ladies pursue you and flow towards you. Number 1 is the capacity to not respond, to be non-receptive. At the point when we get fatigued, we go with awful choices and our shortcoming emerges, and what's more terrible is that ladies intuitively know this, so they deliberately attempt to shake us. Therefore, ladies will test men. A model is when you're out on the town with a lady and she takes a gander at you, and she says you realize you would be more appealing without a facial hair growth. I don't have the foggiest idea why folks have whiskers. This is a test. Assuming you get things done to attempt to persuade her or make sense of your decision, you're responding and you're showing her that she has command over you. You're doing this since you don't have command over yourself. You're responding as opposed to acting from a position of control. If a lady says, you could be more appealing without a facial hair growth, how might you deal with it? Essentially express gratitude for the exhortation, grin, and continue on. That is non-receptive. One more instance of responding is when perhaps you're dating a young lady and she's been flaky in her. She at last messages you and you sort of realize you shouldn't message her back immediately, yet you can't resist. You don't have command over yourself, so you quickly answer despite the fact that you sort of realize you shouldn't. Once more, it's simply the power and control you have that dominates you, not the power you have over her. Next is controlling your anxiety toward losing her. One reason that we will generally offer such a lot of force is when we fear losing a young lady, so we play it truly protected. We watch what we say around her. We concur with her in any event when we differ, and we do this to make sure she'll like us. We would rather not lose her, so we begin to change a ton of things about ourselves, about our way of behaving to abstain from doing whatever will switch her off or drive her mad. Yet, learn to expect the unexpected. You're switching her off by switching off your genuine character. You don't have control of this apprehension about losing her, so you end up excessively accessible, excessively pleasant, excessively hesitant to express no to her, excessively ready to endure her awful way of behaving. However, assuming you had command over that feeling of dread toward losing her, this large number of mix-ups, this bad way of behaving of yours would in a flash vanish, and you'd have significantly more power in the connection among you. Here is one more illustration of what this resembles. Envision that you've been dating this lady and things are working out in a good way, yet you're out with a couple of your companions one evening, and your companions begin discussing how ladies are on Tinder now, and each lady is shuffling 5 people, and they're all sleeping around. At the point when you hear this, you begin overreacting, you get frightened, dread dominates, and you believe she will disregard you or she's with another person. That dread dominates thus, as opposed to partaking in your folks' night out with your companions, you end up messaging her equitable to check in to ensure that she doesn't disregard you. For what reason would you say you are truly messaging her? Since you really want consolation, the requirement for consolation that comes from dread of misfortune. Here is the next one: the capacity to not veer off for her. This implies she's essential for your life, yet she's not as long as you can remember. Envision there's a lady you're dating and you truly like her. One day you receive a message from her and she's like, "Hello, could you at any point hang out Sunday night?" However, you had previously let your father know that you plan to watch the football matchup with him on Sunday night. Your father would comprehend if you dropped on him, so it's not difficult to legitimize dropping. Be that as it may, when you do, you're veering off your life for her, which she could appreciate right away. She will be somewhat blissful, yet ultimately it turns into an extremely bad quality to her, since she understands she 100% has you. There's no need to focus on messing around or imagining you could do without her. It's essentially about having control over yourself, having the option to defer satisfaction. This is how things have been with everything, getting in shape or shedding pounds. It's much more about the control you have over yourself than it is about exercise or diet. You're never going to get thinner in the event that you don't have that command over yourself. It's something very similar with dating. By what other method do you oversee yourself? It's such an easier task to take the smart action when you have choices, and it's such a ton more straightforward to have command over yourself while you're conversing with many ladies. Not messaging a lady back when you have 4 or 5 you're conversing with is much more straightforward. This plentiful mindset wipes out your anxiety toward losing her. It makes you doubtful to respond, it makes you doubtful to veer off, and it makes you significantly more agreeable in this ill-defined situation of not knowing what will happen on the grounds that you will be good. At last, that is the way you have control over yourself, which gives you control over ladies. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe, leave a comment below, and let me know what else you'd like to see me cover in future videos.